Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound great. You look great. It's all good. So thank you so much for coming on our show. I was just saying before you hopped in, this is our 99th episode. This is like, we didn't think we were going to be.
I wanted to make it to 100. I thought I wanted to be the lucky 100.
All right, we'll have you come back next week then. You just committed to 2 weeks in a row. Like that was, it
was crazy.
I was just talking you up before you hopped in here. You know, we've had a lot of legends, a lot of practitioners, people on the show who have made an impact and contributed so much to the culture and music of hip hop. And, you'd be remiss to talk about, the era that you came from, Queensbridge, 90s, the New York rap scene. You played such a pivotal part in kind of shaping the culture, and we're just thrilled to have you. So, first and foremost, this is a game show. We're going to do a bunch of stuff, but first and foremost, this is all about giving flowers to our legends and our contributors. So salute to you.
Salute. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what is we're almost now halfway through 2021 at this point. It still feels like we're in like 2020 extended, the extended edition, right? But what is how have you been, sort of maneuvering and focusing during these times? Like what has changed and what has been still the same for you?
Well, of course, the outdoor scene is a little bit different. You know what I mean? We had to take a minute to kind of, gain our footing. Everybody, the whole world was scared to come outside for a minute, or we couldn't come outside. There wasn't really nothing going on.
Right.
As far as the things that remain the same is, my love for the music, still trying to keep my ear to the street. Still trying to network, you know what I mean? There's so many new apps have popped up that allow me to kind of like navigate and figure out what's going on all around the world, and what's going on with my peers and stuff like that. So it's been like, it's been tricky, but we here. I'm glad that I was fortunate enough to make a lot of rounds early in the game, so that the people, my presence is still felt. You know what I mean? Pandemic, post-pandemic, and all of that stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, you got the recognition and the reputation that people are going to check for you no matter what. You've established that fan base, so that's obviously very crucial.
Nah, no doubt. Nah, shit.
Shout out to everybody watching. We got viewers on YouTube. We got viewers on Twitch right now, our Twitter, Instagram. If you're watching on Instagram, hop on over to one of those, hit the link in the bio. We got Nature in the house here for episode. Well, we're all in the house in 2021, but I meant specifically in this virtual house. So, this is it's sort of a game show. It's sort of a talk, like we're going to see how well some of your hip hop factoids here.
Bro. I've been watching, man. I don't know. Shout out to those that had the courage to come on here, man. I don't want to be looking crazy out here, you know what I mean? But whatever.
No, it's fine. Listen, I try to not be intimidating. People tell me I'm a very intimidating guy, like I'm a very menacing figure. So, I've had to tone down a lot of that on my end to try to accommodate everybody. But what I wanted to say was, I've got this chat here that I can bring the chat in. So if we sort of have two schools of thought for guests on this show. This is episode 99, so we've been doing this for a minute. We have some guests who are like, yo, if I don't know it, fuck it. I don't know it. I'm just going to, solo dolo style. But we also have guests who are like, you know what? Let me tap the lifeline and see if the chat can maybe help me out. So we don't judge either way. And you can decide at any point. But if you do feel stuck and you want to bring the chat in, I can bring in some of their comments. So just so you know, there's a lifeline there.
Okay.
All right. So, I think we're ready to do this. The chat is we got a lively chat tonight. There, shout out to Tralaman on YouTube. We got Hand on the Pump. Shout out to Nope for helping to put this together.
Shout out to Nope. Yep.
Nope is the plug. Let's get into it. We're going to get into our first round. And the first round of the night is called The Choice is Yours. Cool, this is our general multiple choice round. So we're going to get right into it. The music video for the Marley Marl produced Juice Crew single, The Symphony, takes place in this location. Is it a pool hall, an alleyway, a Western saloon, or a rooftop?
The Western Saloon. I
He's
remember
saying
that
Western
video.
Saloon. Let's see if he's
Yeah,
right,
Western.
folks. Western Saloon is correct. Which, you know, they were just really rocking cowboy hats, and it kind of looked like a saloon. It was like 80s.
Nah, because when they were showing the video when they first came in, they had to like push through those little saloon doors, and it froze on the artist and it showed their name. So I always thought that was dope.
Okay, so you're giving them full saloon credibility there. Like you feel like they captured that saloon vibe.
Yeah, you know, the hats, the whole vibe. You know what I'm saying? Well,
Yeah.
that was really dope. That was classic record right there.
So, you know, I have to imagine for you, being of the age and, you know, the area that you came from, the Juice Crew must have just been hugely influential, I would imagine, for you as a, yeah.
Amazing. From there, having a Marley Marl, being from the same projects, at any given moment, I could see members of the Juice Crew just walking around the hood. You know what I'm saying? It was just dope. It was just like amazing, and I kind of wanted to be them. And I remember when Marley Marl came out with the In Control Volume 1, I actually cut the album cover up into and made like put it on my wall. Like the front cover of the album and the back cover was on my wall, taped to the wall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If you make wall status of that, we all went through that era in our lives. Anything that makes it up to the wall in those years, that's like the blueprint of what your whole life is going to be. That's like, these are the pillars, you know?
And that was one of them. That was definitely one of them.
That's amazing. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously such a great time, such an amazing, you know, era. If you had to pick, gun to your head, what would be your favorite like Juice Crew album, you know, by any of the artists? If you had to, like, your Desert Island Juice Crew album, what's your pick?
It would probably be Coogee Rap. It would probably be the Coogee Rap album with the Road to the Riches album. Yeah, it would probably be that one. With a close second being Master Ace, Take a Look Around.
Another classic. Shout out to Master Ace, former guest on our show as well. Always great to chop it up with these legends. All right, we're going to move on to our second question of the night. The members of Murder Inc., which was the short-lived supergroup featuring Jay-Z, DMX, and Ja Rule, first appeared together on a song from this rapper's album. Was it Jaz-O, Mike Geronimo, Lil' Kim, or Styles P?
Being that I'm from Queens and I try to do a little Queens history, I would go with Mike Geronimo.
He's going Mike Geronimo.
Mike Geronimo.
If I'm not mistaken, they teach this in history classes in Queensbridge now, right? This is part of their curriculum.
Yeah. This is like on your lease, on the tenant's lease, like on the back side of the lease, it asks this question. Yeah.
Wow, they won't even rent you an apartment without you proving your knowledge of Mike Geronimo. That's amazing. Well, guess what? If I were a landlord right now in Queens, I would definitely give you the keys to the apartment right now, because guess what? This time. Mike Geronimo is correct. Shout out to Mike Geronimo, another former guest on our show as well. And also, obviously, you mentioned, you know, the connection there. You know, Murder Inc., as we all remember, for all of us who were there was this thing, you know, this was like the only photo that like existed of them together when they did this XXL, you know, photo shoot. And, you know, it was like a hip hop supergroup that kind of never came to be. But, you know, I bring it up because for anybody who's familiar with your work, you're part of, or we're part of, one of the biggest hip hop supergroups. You could argue, arguably the biggest one from its time. You know, the Firm was such a anticipated and you know, sort of, it drew a lot of attention. So my question for you is, in hindsight now, and I know that like, you know, we can speak about it, like the Firm album, you know, went through a lot of trials and tribulations as well. But, you know, what was the best part of making that album, and what was the worst part for you?
The best part would have probably been everything. Just um, the transition from me going from New York City mixtape artist to stepping into the quote unquote, you know, the big arena, and having producers like Dr. Dre listening to, and was a big fan of, and that was like my first time being able to travel outside of the hood, and just see things that I didn't even, you know, I only seen on the video screen. So like my first time going to being in LA, my first time being in Miami, my first time recording in these big monstrous studios with you know, watching songs be created from the ground up in front of, you know, Dr. Dre just orchestrating this whole movement was just like, you know, a kid in a candy store. Like, what more could you ask for? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
probably just the worst part about the whole experience to me was probably just the politics that went on behind the scene. Just how I even got it to into the position. You know what I'm saying? My brother called
Right.
Mega. Um, just the fact that I didn't realize how much pressure would have been put on me because of the stipulations of every artist involved being on separate labels at the time, and they was, you know, their home labels were telling tracks. So I had to fill in a lot of gaps on that album. If you go back and listen to that album, I appeared a little more than anyone else because I wasn't signed at the time. So you know, it was just trying to just, you know, perform. I always wanted to just impress Dr. Dre though. That was my biggest thing. Like once I got in the studio with him, because I felt that I was unknown, and you know, my counterparts at the time kind of had a little fame on their own, and
Right.
here was, you know, I was the quote unquote sixth man at the time, just trying to, you know, get my playing time up, so to speak. So I just really wanted to impress everybody around me and show them that it wasn't an accident that I was there, but it was just a dope experience overall.
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself, to go from like mixtape. You didn't just like escalate out of the mixtape, you know, space, but you like escalated kind of as far. You went to the top of the mountain there in terms of like, you know,
Hmm.
you're talking about these big studios with, you know, Dr. Dre, and I've been in some of those studios, and I know his presence is very energizing but can be intimidating, and the music is also loud as
Hmm.
fuck.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's, you know, so
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
you know, that totally
And
encapsulates
out of
all
that
of it.
whole project, and out of that whole project, I was the only one that got to do a song with him, just, you know, one on one, me and him. So that was really dope.
Well, okay, so wait, you brought it up, so we got to talk about that. Like, what was that process like in terms of working on him when you first got in with him, and then like how did that evolve? Because he's known for being very meticulous. You know, we all have heard the stories where he's like having, you know, rappers, you know, say a line like 500 times to nail the articulation. You know, was that similar? Would you say that kind of was what your experience was like?
I mean, we're still experimenting on what my sound was as far as something solo. You know, I did like I just was saying, I did a lot of mixtape stuff, but now when they actually working on records that have me directly involved in it, nobody really knew exactly the sounds that I probably would sound best on, or my cadence, how it was supposed to be, because you know, it was like starting from scratch with Dre. So sometimes Dre didn't necessarily uh, record the records with me on them. He might have, you know, he might have came up with the beats or the concepts and stuff like that. But I did with him, it was a little bit more people that was hands on as far as with him. That was the first time I actually saw an artist uh, lay their verse sitting down on a stool. Like I'm
Mm.
so used to standing up in the mic booth and trying to get my vocals out and I seen him do it totally opposite, just sit down and deliver some dope rhymes. So I was like just amazed at just the little things like that because I had never saw things like that. So I was just trying to like take little pointers and cues of what I seen. I was like, maybe I should be doing it like this. Because like I said, I wasn't working on my own project at the time yet. So I was just trying to figure out if these guys have platinum plaques under their belt and worldwide records, maybe I should do it the way that they're doing it. So I just was just sitting there like literally like a kid in school with a notepad, just trying to figure out, what I could do best.
Right. Yeah. On the job training, you're just like, really, really taking notes. An amazing and immersive education. All right, we're going to move on to question number 3. You were nervous, and right now you've gotten 2 for 2 right now. So, I just want to shout that out that okay. But it could go in any direction.
I'm getting scared. I know it's going to get crazy, but let's go.
All right. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right. Which of these rappers was not featured on Big Pun's 1998 debut album, Capital Punishment? Was it Prodigy, Black Thought from The Roots, Tretch from Naughty by Nature, or Busta Rhymes? Which of these artists was not featured on Big Pun's debut album?
Ooh.
He's thinking. Talk it out. You can share your thought process here. You're not writing in pen. You're writing in pencil right now.
I'm writing in pencil.
Yeah, you're
this one's kind of this one. I'm not really sure of right here. Rest in peace, my brother Big Pun. But I wasn't really sure of this album. So is it too soon to go for my lifeline, or do I just eeny, meeny, miny, moe?
You have unlimited lifeline. So if you want to bring it in, I can bring it in here. So let's see. We're gonna bring some of these on. Shout out to Blue Your Mind Entertainment. He says Tretch. Purple Medley says Tretch. Charlemagne says Black Thought definitely was on it. Getting a lot of love for C. Sawif Arms says C, but then he says, I think. So, I'll give you access. I'll give you access to the chat, but I can't guarantee that they'd know.
Nah, the funny thing is that's kind of what I was thinking, but kind of tricky. I've recalled hearing Tretch. That was just me. So, I'm going to go with Tretch. I'm going to follow my chat homies. Don't steer me wrong.
Listen, Nature is a man of the people. So if the people are saying, if they're going for Tretch, then he's going to go with Tretch. So let's see. We actually have, I have the songs queued up here. So we're going to listen. First off, we've got Black Thought, the super lyricist, your arch nemesis. So Black Thought from The Roots was on Super Lyrical. Then we got cameras with the twin calico. Busta Rhymes was on the song Parental Discretion. And finally, Prodigy, which means he's absolutely correct. Tretch was not featured on the album. Woo! That was a close one. Nate.
Thank y'all.
You guys came through for Nature. Amazing. Obviously a lot of guests on that. You also, were notably on, one of your first, or sort of, I don't know, first timeline wise, but one of your more notable appearances was your appearance on Banned from TV.
Yes, and it's kind of crazy how that record appeared twice.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. What do you remember about the Banned from TV session and how that sort of came to be?
It's legendary. I done spoke on it a million times. I'm saying that that song wasn't intended to come out the way that it was. It just so happens that Nori had a good relationship. He's a real, people's kind of a rapper.
Yeah.
He invited me to come to the studio because of we had him on a Firm song. You know what I mean? We had a song called "I'm Leaving" on a Firm that was technically my session,
Yep.
and I allowed him to come down in there, and we kind of like, we made history with one of those records right there. So he was basically saying that he wanted to pay me back and allow me to do a record with him for his project. When I first came to the studio, um, Swiss Beats had a beat that I didn't necessarily feel at the time, so I was hesitant about writing.
Yeah.
And he came in, he played a whole bunch of beats. I heard it. I was like, yo, this one right here made me feel like a superhero. I wrote the rhyme probably in a couple of minutes and basically left the studio because, I just wanted to just do what I had to do. I think I had some other stuff going on that was stupid for me. But the next time I heard the record, it had all of these superstars on it. And I was like, yo, I wanted to change my verse. I was kind of adamant to him saying I wanted to change my verse because these guys had time to sit there and study. But by the time I got to that point, the record was already mixed and ready to go, and it came out the way that you hear it today. But shout out to Nori for keeping it 100 with his brother. You know what I mean? If he wasn't such a stand-up dude, I probably wouldn't have made it to that record. That was probably be one of the biggest records that today that a lot of people know me from. But it's cool.
Yeah. And also shout out
Shout
to
out to the
Nori.
Queens MCs.
Yep, absolutely. And shout out to Nori as well. You were recently featured on Drink Champs as well. Which, that's another program that we love over here. How are you a big drinker, and what is it like being on Drink Champs? Like, how sick did you feel afterwards?
Oh man, I'm not a big drinker, but um, out of every artist that I probably came into contact with during my whole career, Nori would have probably been around from day one with me.
Hmm.
So just to be around him and just to be, you drinking without even paying attention to what's really in front of you, so to speak. So that day had me kind of crazy because we was mixing champagne with liquor and all kind of crazy
Breaking all the
stuff in
rules.
there. So
Yeah.
breaking all the rules, and I didn't realize how drunk I was because during the whole interview we're sitting down. It
Right.
wasn't until they said yell cut and you got to stand up and you're like, wait a minute, did you feel that earthquake? You know what I'm saying? So it was
They're like,
really
there are
crazy.
earthquakes in
So
Miami. I don't understand.
were. So, but I was done. But
Yeah.
it was a good time, and yeah, I'm just glad I had the opportunity to be up there. A lot of artists still to this day feel that maybe they might have had uh, records that charted higher than mine, and that's it's not all about who has the biggest sales with their. I like the platform because he pretty much can make the rules and call up whoever he wants to. You know what I'm saying? But most people are only chasing down the people that's number one on the charts at the time.
Right.
It doesn't work like that with that. So I
Yeah. I mean,
appreciate it.
you're not, and you're not always going to get the most. Yeah. I mean, yes, obviously we live in a culture where we want to talk to the number ones. We want to, you win the Super Bowl. We want to talk to the winner. You win the playoffs. We want to talk to, to the people who are on that side. But, when it comes to music, you're going to get interesting stories there, but there's plenty of interesting stories to be told by everybody, so I'm in, full agreement of that philosophy, 100%. All right, we're going to move on to question number 4, final question in our first round. In 2003, this artist teamed with Mark Echo to create his own clothing line. Was it Pharrell, Nori, Ludacris, or 50 Cent? The year was 2000.
Can you repeat it? Can you repeat it? The year was what?
2003. This artist teamed up with Mark Echo from Echo Clothing to create his own clothing line. Was it Pharrell, Nori, Ludacris, or 50 Cent?
I mean, if I have to pick one without the help,
Well,
It's
you
all
can
right if
still
I
use
get
the
one
help.
wrong, right?
You can still
I can still use the help
yeah.
because I have in mind because
Well,
if I
tell me
break
what
down
you think.
if I break down the process of elimination, I would say it wouldn't be Nori
Okay,
because I don't recall my brother really having his own clothing line.
sure.
Okay, Ludacris. Hmm, that's a catchy one.
Hmm.
Now, and Pharrell, uh, I don't really recall Pharrell having the line of clothes as opposed to more than the footwear. I know the
Right.
footwear was apparent. So I would have to go between Ludacris and I know 50 Cent had the G Unit, and I'm thinking about around the same time the G Unit was out was around that time right there.
Mm.
So I would, I mean, should I go with the fans or let me know, or should I just use the force? Should I use the
I
force?
think you should use the force. I think it's more interesting when you use the force.
All right, so I'm gonna go with what was Ludacris's what was Ludacris's clothing line's name?
I mean,
Hmm.
I could bring the chat in if you want. Like I'm not trying to withhold it here.
You're not trying to
Yeah,
withhold
I'm
it?
not trying with. Let's see.
See?
Blew Your Mind
That's
Entertainment says 50. Uh,
that's what I'm
yeah, Blew Your Mind saying
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that's what I was thinking 50. I eliminated the other ones and Ludacris, I can't even remember what 50. We don't even have to go too far to the thing. I'm gonna keep my keep the comment section for the probably the next one because I know it's gonna get harder. But I was initially was gonna go with 50, and I'm gonna go with my gut with this one. Use the force.
using his force, using his gut force. He's
Mm.
saying 50. And he is absolutely correct. G Unit clothing line launched in 2003. AKA Ferrari. 50 Cent teamed with Mark Echo to create his clothing line. I don't think Luda ever had a clothing line. That was sort of the red herring that we
No,
threw in there.
yeah, I was like Luda. I remember they tried to give him the alcohol deal, but I didn't recall clothing. Um, I remember the little Conjure alcohol he had, but I don't remember clothing from Ludacris. So that's why I was really leaning towards 50. And I know those were the years when G Unit first kind of like took off, and the clothes was everything for him. So,
I
yep.
I read / heard in doing some research, and I think you might have talked about this on Drink Champs, that you were like sharing a mansion with 50 Cent at one point. You were
Yeah,
staying with him
we
or
were
staying
recording. Yeah, yep. Definitely. That was my bro. You know what I mean? We were all kind of affiliated with the Trackmasters. We did a lot of shows together. We ran around state to state. Prior to everybody even really knowing who he was. You know what
right.
I mean? It wasn't until he dropped a record called How to Rob
Yeah.
that kind of grabbed the industry and made them all kind of focus on him. But prior to all of that stuff, we were homies and we were, we would just go do promo tours and, just go out there and just try to rip the shows down the best we could. Word.
Yeah. That's
Shout
incredible.
out to 50.
Shout out to 50. All right, we're going to move on to our second round. And the second round is called Picasso, baby. So in this round, we're going to test your eyes. I'm going to show you a small piece of an album cover, and you have to identify what the album is by the little piece of it that you see. So,
Oh, man.
yeah,
Okay.
we tested your general knowledge. You got 4 out of 4 correct so far. So now we're on the second round. We're going to turn up the heat a little bit.
I should have did it from off the computer. I'm doing this off of my phone. So, all right, cool. All
Well,
right,
let
all
me
right.
know.
I know what this is. I know what this is.
Oh, he knows what it is right away. What album is this?
This is Capone and Noriega right here. This is the War Report.
There we go. Some more home team love there. We're definitely
Home team love. Yep.
injecting a lot of Queens in our game tonight.
Appreciate it.
Of course. All right, we're gonna move on to the second one. We're breezing through these, like we don't want to take up too much of your time, so we can't go into this is not a drink champs where you're gonna be here for 3.5 hours because I'm not getting you drunk.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, I appreciate it.
yeah, of course. All right,
Yeah.
what album cover is this? Is it Kendrick Lamar, Section 80, Alcoholics, Coast to Coast, De La Soul, Balloon Mind State, or is it Moni Love, Down to Earth?
Whoa, yeah.
It's not all Queens.
Well, I wouldn't remember what Moni Love's album looked like, and I'm not even gonna lie. This particular De La Soul album, I probably wouldn't know. This is the one I'm gonna go for my chat.
Okay, he's
Chat,
going
help
for
me
the chat.
down.
Chat, help him out. All right, so let's see.
Oh.
Blew Your Mind Entertainment, very active in the chat tonight. He's saying B, Alcoholics. He's guessing. Saweev says B. Can we get anybody else watching on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube chime in, please? Nature's putting up the bat signal right now. He wants to know.
Yeah. Where we at, y'all?
Where we at, guys? Come on. So we've gotten a few. It seems like all right. Sally Haskell says it's not De La. DJ Moody says it's the Licks, baby. It's the Licks. So we're getting a lot of
we got a lot of alcoholics over here, huh?
Yeah. We were just talking about getting drunk with Nori, and now we're talking about alcoholics.
And these people are not saying I think, or maybe
no,
they sound like confident with this one, right?
Yes, they sound very confident. So
I'll follow suit, man. It's the alcoholics.
All right. DJ Moody says he is sipping as well. I don't know if that gives him credibility on this or not, but
yeah, he might be a little saucy, but they sound like they know what they're talking about. So
all right, let's see. You say alcoholics. Alcoholics, Coast to Coast is correct. Chat came through once again. How you mentioned going out to LA for the first time when you did the Firm album. How up were you on other, on what was going on in LA hip hop at the time? It seems like for a lot of Queens artists, especially from that time, there was so much to draw from in your immediate circle. There were so many rappers.
Yeah, it was too much, man. Like I said, I was pretty much groomed by these East Coast artists, and I didn't, not necessarily, not to say take anything away from anywhere else, like, because it was obviously so much hip hop all over the world, whether it be down south, Midwest, LA, and then outside of the country overall. But being from Queensbridge and having so much of a legacy or so much of, I come from a long line of some pretty dope MCs, you know what I'm saying? Just in my era alone, I mean, just having the Nas's and the Mobb Deeps and the list goes on. If you're familiar with what we brought to the table, it was so easy to just focus on what was in front of me. You know what I mean? Because not only my first encounters with dope MCs were people that I can actually reach out and touch, or go knock on their mother's door, or something like that. You know what I mean? I mean, shout out to everybody else, but everybody else still had to get through the TV or still had to get through the radio and stuff like that. But these guys I could come outside and, it's a Tragedy Gaddafi, it's a Capone and Noriega,
come on,
man, so it's just so much, even before me was like we just were talking about, the Juice Crews, the MC Shans and the Roxanne Shantays and so from every angle I had it in front of me. So I kind of, my earliest, these are the people that made me fall in love with it, that made me say, yo, I can do it too. Because it wasn't about record sales. It wasn't about anything else other than just really being dedicated to the craft and giving it. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody else. So by the time I got to LA, it's not like these people didn't exist, but it was a different kind of a feel. So only the major artists were right in my face.
You knew
Like I didn't
Snoop.
even get a chance to. Yeah, I know Snoop. I knew, I was fortunate enough to kick it with Ice Cube or Tupac or these guys like that. There was so many other dope artists out there, but they were kind of underneath these bigger names. And so once I got to LA, I was still already with Dre. So the questions I asked Dre were around, I'm asking him about Snoop, or I'm asking him about
Right.
Death Row. I'm asking, things like that. So shout out to everybody else that I knew you guys existed, but it was just never really, I didn't have the time to really do my homework as much as everybody else because, I'm a Queensbridge guy. Word.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to stray too far when you're basically from the source. You know what I'm saying? Like you had a lot right around you, so couldn't fall for that.
Word.
All right, we're gonna move on to the final question in our second round. Here we go. What album is this? Is it Black Panther, the album? LL Cool J, Walking with a Panther? Snoop Dogg, The Game Is to Be Sold, Not to Be Told, or is it Capadonna, The Pilgrimage?
That, from my eyes right now, looks like LL Cool J. It looks like Walking Like a Panther.
All right, let's see if he's correct, folks.
I was at the mall sipping on a
milkshake.
Obviously, we'd be remiss to be talking about this whole community that we're talking about right now and not bring up the GOAT. Like the first person to call himself the GOAT. LL.
Word. Yeah, I remember the first time I heard Rock the Bells, right? When he had Rock the Bells, I could have swore Rock the Bells had 8 verses on it. And he just kept rapping and just
Intense.
kept rapping. It was shout out to LL Cool J, word. I had the pleasure of doing some music with him before too. So it's one of my career highlights. Word.
Absolutely. Shout out to LL. We're going to move on to our third round here. Third round is called Digging in the Crates.
My man still digging in the crates, diamond deep.
This is our sample round. So this is all about samples. I'm going to ask you questions and then play you a sample, and you have to answer the question. So, we tested your brain, we tested your eyes, now we're testing your ears. So, so far, so good. Flawless score right now, Nate. So, just letting you know.
Cool.
You're in good shape. Here we go.
All right, cool.
Jack Mayborn's Disco People was flipped on a Prodigy song by this producer. So I'm going to play you the Disco People joint, and you tell me what producer flipped it for Prodigy. Here we go. Was it Alchemist, Havoc, Bink, or Easy LP?
He's most famous for working with my brother Al, man. So I'm gonna go with Alchemist, but that's what shout out to Easy LP too, man. I definitely did some work with him early on, and Havoc sound is a little was gritty too, but this one right here, I think I will go with Alchemist.
He says Alchemist. Alchemist is correct.
That's a fucking bullet, nigga.
Another classic. Rest in peace, Prodigy.
Rest in peace, P. Word.
Yeah. And yes, as you mentioned, obviously Prodigy was introduced to the world through his collaborations with Havoc, but he had obviously a whole other, second kinship with the producer with the relationship that he had with Al. So definitely
shout out to P, man. Shout out to Al. Shout out to just keeping that music dope, keeping it street, man. I look at myself as I'm always gonna be a dope rapper, but I'm a fan first. You know what I'm saying? So word.
Okay, so as a fan, I feel like the easy answer, and maybe it's the correct answer, but for most people who are talking about like the Prodigy in his prime, is it the Infamous? Like what is your pick if you had to pick a Mobb Deep or a Prodigy album that like epitomizes just all that he was and his ability? What in your opinion, as a fan, is you're like, this is when he was really locked in?
It has to be Mobb Deep albums. But he always was really dope. You could tell that he was exposed to a little bit more than the average MC. He was really different, you know. And at first, I used to be kind of thrown off because he would rap, and in the middle of his rap, he would slip a word that didn't necessarily rhyme with the other thing, but then he knew how to bring it right back to, you know, where it needed to go. So he was really dope. Just to me, during the Mobb Deep era, during the drop a gem on them days, you know, yeah, you know, just he was just vicious, and I always laugh because he always came across so big, and these guys, you know, I'm 6'1", so these guys were always, you know, the small guys,
Oh,
but they always talk
you
the
were
most
tripping
shit.
over Mobb Deep. If you weren't watching where you were walking, you might accidentally, you know, run into him if you're
Word,
6'1", right? No
word, yeah.
disrespect to Mobb Deep, but they're short. It just is what it is. Yeah.
But they definitely had they put New York on their back. You know what I mean? They brought all attention to my hood when they made the Shook One song. You know, they had everybody kind of like focusing back onto the hood. For a minute, we had all the spotlight on us for a minute, and then it died down for a second.
Yep.
And then when they kind of like shook New York up with this gritty ass shit, and you know, I just pay homage. You know what I mean? I love these guys. Word.
100%. All right, we're gonna move on to the next question. Question 9: the opening drums / percussion of the song Trans Europe Express by Kraftwerk, they were sampled for this artist, Dr. Dre featuring single in 1998. So let me break this down again. I'm going to play you this Kraftwerk joint. And these little drums were sampled on a song that featured Dr. Dre by this artist. So I'm going to play it right now. These are the drums. It was a song by one of these artists, and it featured Dr. Dre. Was it Exhibit, Rascass, Truth Hurts, or Snoop Dogg? 1998.
I know the Trans Europe Express. Damn, this one is tough.
We had to pull out some of the heat, man. We couldn't just give you all, you know. We got nature in the building, you know.
Yeah, wow, this one is tough. I don't recall Snoop rapping on this.
You said
98. I said I don't really recall Snoop doing it.
The year was 98. He knows the craft.
Yeah, I know this was the year I started stepping out and doing my thing. So I kind of like stopped focusing on everybody else to focus on what my sound should have been. And I love Trans Europe Express too. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Damn.
These drums.
It gotta be something that I'm not really necessarily sure of, man. But I'd be a sucker MC if I went back to the to my people.
No, you know, it's funny because we used to do this show on Instagram, but Instagram kind of started slacking on us a little bit. So it used to be that the chat was all just there. I think what we're going to do, and I'm realizing this because we've only done about like 6 episodes on this. I think I will, and I'm not going to do this tonight, so you're clear. But I don't know why I'm even telling you this, but I'm just thinking out loud now. I think I'm going to start putting in like a limit, like maybe once a round. Like you get the lifeline maybe once a round. So we'll oh, he's gone. Maybe he got a call. Maybe he got bored with me talking about the intricacies of the show. We're going to pause for a second and wait for Nate to come back. See that he's still on here, I think. A lot of you in the chat.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, there he is. There he is. Hello. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All good. All good.
I see you, but you can't see me.
Yeah, now I can see you. You're good.
All right, cool. I see you, but I don't see me in here. So I was like, damn, I don't know how happened.
No, you're here. All right, so we'll go back to the chat. We'll see what's up. Okay, so we got Blew Your Mind Entertainment says, I'm going to get A. Yeah,
Sorry,
can you hear me?
My phone's, yeah, I'm getting calls and stuff. But yeah, go ahead. What were you saying? You said it's only like the sixth time you did this.
Yeah.
I was trying to hear what you were saying.
Can you see me though? Can you see me and hear me?
I can see you. I just can't see myself.
Okay.
But I can see you.
All right. No, I was just saying that we'll probably in later versions of this game, now that we're doing it this way, I'll probably put limits on the chat. But right now we're going back to the chat. So let's see. Doc Justice.
I can pick one though. Okay.
Okay. Doc Justice says, doesn't sound familiar. By '98, Snoop was with No Limit. And Truth Hurts didn't blow yet, so it's got to be A or B. He says. So those are wise words from Doc Justice.
That's what I was saying. That's a similar thought pattern that I was using, and I was like,
Okay, we got Ashcat. Ashcat says, I'm guessing A. So Ashcat on YouTube is saying she thinks it's Exhibit. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, it's Exhibit or Razcast. It's one of these two guys. That's what I'm feeling. But if I have to pick one, then I'm like, because obviously it's a record it's not a record that jumps out at me.
Sure.
And so I'm like, if I had to pick one, I would say Razcast.
Okay. He's narrowed it down. He's thought it over. He's trying to, he provided some good logic there. So let's hear. These are the drums in question. And this is how they were flipped.
Once again, we tango for cash.
Razcast.
Dre and Mac 10 connected. We get a fabulous, baby. The best.
I always felt that should have been even bigger than it was. Like obviously it's a song that we.
I love that beat.
Oh yeah,
I love that. And so I'm listening to in my head. I'm listening to both of their rhyme patterns in my head, and I'm like, nah. I'm like a Razcast type of a thing. I don't know. That's just the MC in me too. Sometimes I gotta like break down how a rapper raps, and I'm like, no, this is not really an Exhibit kind of a flow.
Right. Yeah.
To me, this is a Razcast kind of a flow, and
it's a little slower. It's a little slower than you would, hear Exhibit on, I
mean, when I heard the beat and when they played the beat on the back end of Dre's the other video.
You've been there, done that video.
And they started doing the dancing, and they was I was like, yo, this is amazing right here, this beat right here. I started doing the dance too.
Yeah, it was like this ballroom dancing. Like, it was so cinematic. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yo, it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And also shout out to like anytime an artist does this, but like this felt like this is kind of when artists were first starting to do it. Like that was a music video for a whole other song. And then Dre just basically threw in a commercial for that beat at the end of it. It was just like, oh, and then you
didn't even need to hear any vocals. You just was blown away by the whole, like you said, the cinematic feel. They all had the tuxes on. I was like, this is incredible. Yo.
Yeah, it was amazing. So good to trust your instinct there. Shout out to the chat once more. Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to move on to the last question in this round. All right, so for some reason, at the start of the last decade, the 2010s, all of these artists sampled rock band The Zombies' 1968 song Time of the Season, except for one of them. So I'm going to play you the Zombies song. All of these artists, we got Eminem, Melanie Fiona, Fat Joe, and Schoolboy Q. Only one of these artists did not sample this song. So I'm going to play you the Zombies song. You guys probably have heard and know this one.
time of the season when love runs high. In this time, give it to me.
So which of these artists did not sample Time of the Season? Was it Eminem, Melanie Fiona, Fat Joe, or Schoolboy Q?
To show you everyone.
Hey, you just play it again from the beginning one more time?
Of course
you
I
don't have to play
can.
the whole thing.
Of course I can.
It's a time.
All right.
What say you, Nation?
I would go with, forgive me if I'm wrong, y'all, but I would go with Fat Joe.
Okay.
I would go with Fat Joe.
He's going Fat Joe. This obviously, you know, we stayed in the 90s for a lot of this. That's, you know, that's our happy spot on this show. But you know, we got to branch out sometimes into other eras as well. So I'm going to go through it. He says Fat Joe. Let's see who all else sampled this. First, we had
my mother reproduced like the Komodo dragon, and had me on the back of a motorcycle, then crashed in the side of a locomotive.
Little known indie rapper Eminem. You guys might have heard of him. So Eminem sampled it. Let's see who else sampled it. I'm not Melanie Fiona, dope R&B singer. And then finally, and this will determine who didn't, we also have a sampling from
Faded Off Life. See the dope
Schoolboy Q. So guess what, Nature? You are absolutely correct. Fat Joe did not sample it.
Bad bitches, call it bad bitches, bring it.
The song, so that was great guessing, by the way. And you're 10 for 10 right now. So shout out to you. Oh, are you frozen right now? You're frozen at like the dopest like spot. You're like fist in the air. Okay, I hear you now.
Oh.
Hold on a second. Hold on. We lost him for a second, folks. Oh, there we go. I think you're back.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. I hear you. Okay, now you're back. You're back. Yeah, you know, the song is called Time of the Season. You've put out a few albums that all have season in it. So we felt like it was only right to, you know, sort of bring that in. What is your fascination with season? Because you've put out a couple projects that have season in the title.
Well, for All Seasons, my very first album, I just wanted to make something that you could play all year round, not just in the summertime, not just in the wintertime, something that's for every season, for all seasons.
Yeah. And
just having a name nature, you know what I'm saying, is outdoorsy. It makes, you know, I always was an outdoors kind of a person, but I didn't want to make music that was like, I realized that there were certain songs that kind of like, depending on the time of the year, they just hit bigger. Everybody wanted these big summer records. Everybody wanted to, you know, I need to have the #1 song for the summer. But I always remembered that if you had the #1 song in the winter and the fall and the spring too, you would be just as big. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
So I just wanted to just make stuff that they wanted to play all year round and didn't just fade out after the 2-3 months period, you know, whatever season it was. So that was just my thing. That's seasons.
Yeah, that's a wise approach. I feel that. All right, Nate, we have got to the final round, and the final round is called Time's Up. This is our speed round. So if you've watched clips of the show, if you know about the show, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have 90 seconds to answer 5 questions in the category of your choosing. These are not multiple choice, so this is our speed round. Here are tonight's categories. The first, 1999, you are episode 99, so we have a category all about the year 1999. The second category is called Who's the Last to Rhyme? This is I present you different posse cuts, and you have to tell me who rhymed last on some of these classic songs. And the third option that you have is for all questions about seasons. These are all songs or questions about songs that have a season involved in the title. So you get to pick your choice here, Nature.
So it's between 1999, Who's the Last to Rhyme, and for all questions about seasons, right?
That is correct, sir.
I think I'm gonna go with
This is the hardest part of the game.
1999.
He's
I'm
going
going
with
to
1999.
1999.
All right. So let me go over the rules that we have here. You're going to have 90 seconds to answer these 5 questions. If you don't know the answer to one, you can say pass and we can go back to it. But if you guess wrong, that question is done. You only get to answer one question. If you want help from the chat, just say chat and I will bring them in. But it's the speed round, folks. So if you guys are playing at home on Twitch or YouTube, get speedy with those fingers because you got to be Nate's lifeline here. I have OC's classic song Time's Up here, and it's time to 90 seconds. So when we stop hearing that classic Buckwild beat, we'll know that your time is up. So you're going 1999. Are you ready to do this, sir?
Yeah, but yeah.
We'll say as ready as you're going to be. You've never been any readier than you are now. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got Nature, episode 99. He's going for the round called 1999. Seconds on the clock. Here we go, Nature. Let's go. This Method Man and Redman single from 1999 took its name from the song's producer. It was a Red and Meth song, and it was produced by somebody, and the song was named
Rockwilder.
That is correct. The Rockwilder is correct. Okay. Secondly, the Common and Sadat X single 1999 was featured on a mixtape compilation released by this indie label.
I don't know.
All right, we're going to pass. What'd you say?
I said Raucous.
Raucous is correct. That's a great guess. All right, here we go. Prince Paul put out his 1999 concept album, A Prince Among Thieves. Who was the rapper that played the lead role on the concept album?
Pass.
Okay, we're going to pass on that. This East Coast beatmaker produced the final song on Dr. Dre's 1999 album, Chronic 2001.
Pass.
All right, pass.
Gotta have another one. Yeah.
1999's Biggie album, Born Again, had a lot of guests on it. Name 3 of the guests featured on Born Again.
On Born Again had Eminem, Tupac.
Keep going.
Prodigy. I don't know.
Okay, so Mobb Deep was on it. Yes. Eminem was on it. Tupac was not on that one. I'm going to give you a half point on that. And our time is up now. So listen, I want you to know, I'm going to total up your score here. No matter how you scored, you're fucking Nature. So you won at life. So I just want you to remember that. But
Thank you, man.
And no matter what, you are a champion in our eyes. I'm going to total up your score real quick. But while I do this, my question for you, now that you've done the game, who do you nominate to come on the show next? We always like to ask our guests, now that you've done it, who's somebody that you know, maybe a fellow artist or producer or DJ or somebody, who do you think we should reach out to next to have on the show?
I'm not exactly sure how many people have been on the show, but you should get somebody like a Jadakiss or somebody on here. Ooh. Test their knowledge on here.
Jadakiss would be crazy. We have not had him, and that'd be great. So I just totaled your score, and you have scored. I'm giving you half points on that Tupac or on the Biggie album. So you have 12.5 points. So that puts you, we'll round you up to 13. This is who you are in the 13 club with, just so you know who you're sort of sitting with in this section of the VIP. Former guests who have been on the show who have gotten 13. Mike Geronimo, shout out to that connect there. Big Les from Rap City, Torre, Just Blaze, Mad Skills, Questlove, Jake One, House Shoes, Dante Ross, Kathy Iandoli, who was the author who wrote the Prodigy book with him.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just want you to know that like the 13 Club is a pretty nice place to be. You know, I don't want you
Solid.
feeling.
I'm solid. I'm solid. I thought I was gonna get like a 6 or 7 on it, but I'm solid.
Amazing. So listen, Nature, I just want to thank you again so much for taking the time. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate everything that you've done to contribute to the culture. What do you have coming on next? Like what can people sort of be on the lookout for? Or is there anything in the works?
Yeah, I'm about to finish up this little project called 98 Nate. It's just a reflection of some of the stuff that I did. Like when I first came out in 1998, I put a whole bunch of songs on some mixtapes that didn't necessarily appear on any album, but the qualities were not as good as what they supposed to have been. DJs yelling all over it. So for during my career, a lot of people asked me about a few songs, and so I kind of like recreated them and put them together under the moniker 98 Nate because I wanted to kind of like rebrand myself. I'm still always going to be Nature, but paying homage to the year 1998, it was a really big year for me. It was the beginning, and I just wanted to put something that forever be appreciated. You know what I'm saying? So I had
Absolutely.
about 5, 6 songs, maybe even more than that. But I already put them out on miscellaneous mixtapes, and they got good response from my fans, but they just disappeared after that. So
you were actually going back and re-recording like the songs.
Yeah, I did it.
What was that process like? Like, was that weird to like? Because obviously you've written a lot. I would assume that you would feel that you've grown as a writer and as an artist. So like, what is that like? Is it? I feel like that could be like the equivalent of like trying on like old outfits, like old clothes, like, but also maybe dope.
Exactly, because from the production standpoint, someone had to recreate it. So we had to go back in on samples or replay them.
Yeah.
It just gives you a time to revisit, like you said, some of the stuff that you did already. You might look back at it and laugh and be like, "Wow, I remember when I wrote this or what I thought about this or whatever."
Right.
But it was dope.
Well, we'll be on the lookout for that. 98 Nate. Keep your eyes peeled. Coming later this year, maybe sometime.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
That's what's up. Well, Nature, once again, we salute you. We thank you so much. Episode 99. We'll have you back next week for 100. You asked. We'll set it up. But it's going to be the same game, all the same questions. So you got to get a perfect score.
You got to get a perfect score. Yep, I could Google it. So I'll have 100.
Yeah, amazing. Yep. Well, thank you again so much. We appreciate you, and we'll see you real soon.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate you.
Peace. Guys, that was episode 99 of The Questions. It's been evolving. It started off as one thing. We were a live show, then we transitioned over to Instagram. Now we're doing this multi-stream thing. So, it's been a journey, and we appreciate you guys being with us on the journey, whether you're watching this on Instagram. If you're watching this on Instagram still, I don't know what you're doing, because you're not getting a great view. But shout out to everybody on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on Twitch. Shout out to everybody on Facebook and Twitter. And we will be back. Guys, we're trying to make something big happen next week. It hasn't been 100% locked, but there has been interest expressed and confirmation that the person or people that we've reached out to are down to do it. I can't announce it. I can't confirm it right now, but if it happens, and let me just say this, it may happen next week, it may not. But if it doesn't happen next week, I know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of figuring out the scheduling. We're going to see what happens. But I'm very excited, and you're going to have to stay tuned to see what it is I'm talking about. So, that said, think about what I'm trying to say. Try to break the puzzle. And I'll see you next week. Go to questionshiphop.com. Subscribe to the newsletter, which you can do on questionshiphop.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us and subscribe if you like on Twitch. But mainly just go to questionshiphop.com and it'll tell you all the things that you want and need to know. Shout out to all the familiar faces: Sally Haskell, Nina Foster, Ashcat, Doc Justice, Tralamont. We appreciate you all. We'll see you next time. Peace.